Bueno, bienvenidos a Tiempo, Fuera. Hoy estamos con Hamady en GI. Hamady, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be here. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, and kind of, to give it like a timeline to the interview, we'd like to go from the beginning of their basketball careers to, more of like the present. Who or what introduced you to the world of basketball?
Well, that's a very long story, but I'm gonna try to see if I can make it pretty short. Well, I started around 15, 16, 15 really. And I met this guy down in Senegal back then. I wasn't really playing much sports. I was more into my studies and trying to finish school and those things, but sports wasn't really my thing. I was really tall and skinny back then. And one day I met this guy called Babacar C, who has this foundation called Giving Back. And he was walking down the street with a bunch of 7-footers. And he looked at me and walked up to me and said, well, I don't really remember the whole conversation. He asked me a couple of questions and all. And the key thing to me was, I can get you a scholarship maybe to go study in America. And to me, that was the key. I was like,
Yeah.
I could, you go study in America. I can come back to Senegal and work anywhere and do whatever I feel like doing. And that diploma from there, technically, is the main reason I got into basketball. It was just like I wanted to really study, and then I discovered a bit more that basketball allowed me to kind of speak my mind, speak myself. Even I was really shy. You know how most tall guys are. Growing up, you feel a little awkward. You're always the tallest one in the room. You always like everyone is looking at you, saying something about you. So I always like didn't like that attention. Still to this day, I don't really like that much attention. But it's it's a different thing back then. Before you play sports, to kind of keep your shoulders up, keep your head up, and know that this is for something. So basketball kind of allowed me to open that door to find myself and find a career, go to school. It opened basically every door for me. So that's kind of everything, how everything started for me.
Yeah, perfect. That's an incredibly interesting story. Being a same footer, I think playing basketball is the best place you can be.
Yep, that is. It absolutely is. Listen, today there's I wouldn't trade this for anything. Back then it was a little questionable because you're telling me I gotta run, jump, and hit people. I was like, that's not really for me, like I'm not really into this whole sport and sweating thing. I'm more into my books and all that. But today is something I barely can live without.
Great. And you mentioned just now that you went to college in America. You took the 4 years at Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
Yep.
How would you describe that experience? I think that for almost every youngster in the world that plays basketball, one of their dreams is to play in the NCAA, and you had the opportunity to do it. How was that?
Honestly, it's one of the greatest things. One of the experiences you cannot replace. You cannot put into words really how it is to do 4 years of college. There is a certain level of lucidity and things that you experience while being in college that you don't really have anywhere else. When you get there, because of the age and the immaturity, sometimes a lot of players don't realize the opportunity that is in front of them. And it's not most of the times until you leave college that you realize that, wow, that was the greatest experience. Rutgers is still, I would say, one of the greatest places in my heart. Those 4 years mean so much to me because I got to not only build friendships, it's a family, but at the same time, I accomplished the goals that I came there to do. I developed myself because I had just started basketball just a couple years prior to that. Not like everyone else who played basketball the entire childhood. For me, I'd started very late. So going to college was my way of catching up. And I still speak about it with young guys today, where I sacrificed a lot while in college to better myself. I wasn't taking no holidays. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I just wanted to keep getting better. And the school allowed me. They put you into the perfect spots in the perfect surrounding base. You're surrounded by people and teachers that are, I even say tutors sometimes, whatever you need for the better of yourself. I didn't speak English when I got to America, but I got to college and really, like I told you, I was about study. I came to America and everything to study and get a diploma, and that was my goal. And having that opportunity right there and doing it, and at the same time getting better on the court, playing and shining, getting better every single day, to me was so important to be able to stay focused for 4 years straight. You know, like you have players that shine for a year or two and then run away, go to the NBA or stop school and all those things. For me, it was the goal from the beginning, and I had to see it through. You know, go all the way and get it accomplished. So the relationships I had in college are still alive today. I'm still with them, and I enjoy revisiting more when I can and all those things, because it's part of my heart. It's part of things that most of the people that actually went to college had a great experience. You know, you hear bad stories from time to time, but for me, honestly, is top notch. Rutgers is still is home for me.
Absolutely. And well, after you played those 4 years at the Rutgers, you got the opportunity to be drafted. I know you were drafted in the 56th position by Minnesota. How did you feel that night?
Oh man. Well, to be honest, that's it's a moment. It's a great feeling. You cannot downplay getting drafted, being a part of the 60s that are drafted each year, entering a league that has 450 players or whatever, and knowing that you were in the 60s that were drafted, knowing that it's probably a good 1,000 or more players that put their name in the draft every year. That right there is an accomplishment in itself. Now, what it took to get there is a little different. You know, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of, like I said, focus, dedication, showing who you are as a person, showing what you are able to do, not just on the court, because yeah, you get drafted, but these people know everything about you by the time you get into the NBA. And for me, I think my character was one of the main reasons I was in that draft, and the fact that I really you had a how you call it, a potential that I had before entering the draft, and people saw that I was getting better. Not only that, but I was dedicated to my craft. I was dedicated to get into my goals and making sure that I was going to get things accomplished the way I wanted to get them accomplished. And it wasn't a guaranteed thing to make it in the NBA, because, as you know, most of the people going, usually, especially at that time in 2010, it was like the top schools, guys that made it into the NCAA tournament, you know, like the big names and all that stuff. For me, at Rutgers, we never made it to the NCAA tournament. But I was top, the second best shot blocker in America at the time, or something like that. And I just had a attitude about myself that showed that I wasn't letting anything go. From my background, coming from Senegal, it's like you carry a backpack with you at all time. You know where I'm from, where I came from, and everything. I always carry that with me, because I know that most of the kids there want the opportunity that I have, and I'm not gonna basically spit on it by not making the best out of the place that I'm at. I still use it today. It don't matter how long I've been professional, I still feel the pressure of I have an opportunity today that most people want and don't have. You know, a door was open for me back then that I'm still using to be able to make sure that I'm really doing the absolute best that I can to make myself proud. But the people that actually gave me the opportunity, the people that stood with me along the way really mattered. So getting to the NBA in that moment when honestly I didn't even hear my name when they called it. I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get drafted because once it gets to the 50s, I was already planning on how or what I was going to do to make it to the NBA. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm going to go to summer league. Maybe I'm going to go to training camp, or somebody going to call me. I'm going to find something else. It's okay, you know? And when they said 56 and they said my name, I didn't see it. I was looking at the screen, but I didn't see it. I just seen people jumping around, and I was like, what's happening? Why is everyone so happy? And I looked at the screen and I see my highlights, and I said, hold on. That means I got called. And all of a sudden, in that moment, I kind of froze. You kind of freeze up and just run back all the memories from the day I got the guy, Babacar, telling me, hey, you can have a chance to make it, to this moment where I did about 16 or some workouts with NBA teams right before the draft. And I gave everything that I could. Like when I say I gave everything, it was just like, when you go to these workouts, you have nothing to lose. So you might as well just give everything and be done afterwards. So even the day before the draft, I went to a workout, I remember, in Philly. And I was like, oh, it's not over yet. I was chilling and I got a phone call and we're like, hey, Philadelphia got a workout going on. You want to go? I'm like, the draft is tomorrow. You think they're going to pick me like tomorrow? And they was like, well, you might as well just go and show yourself again. And I said, I'll do it, you know? But it's those sacrifices that you just have to keep in your mind. And in that exact moment, when you realize that the draft is here, I just got drafted, and boom, wow, that was all worth it. All that time, all those sacrifices, not being with your family, not being with your friends, and having fun and cutting all that out just to make sure you get to your goal. That's the moment where you like, that was all worth it to have done all of that. So that was really one of the most amazing. I ain't gonna lie, I cried for a while before I even came back to Earth.
I would cry too. I don't blame you
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
Great, and also you played over 30 games in the NBA, but also you played with amazing players. You played with Gilbert Arenas, you played with John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Isaiah Thomas. How did you experience that NBA, NBA moments?
Well, that is that's where things kind of take a turn. So the story goes right after the draft, 15 minutes about after I got drafted, I got a phone call from Washington, actually, congratulating me for getting drafted and all those things. And they go, yeah, but we don't want you to come to training camp. We want you to go overseas and stay there for a couple of years and then come back later. Now, thinking back at it, I'm like, that could have been a way to go about this whole NBA journey. But for me, I was so young and I had sacrificed. Like I said, I just thought about everything that I sacrificed and fought for to get to this moment. My replies and everything was so quick that I didn't even think. And I was like, no, I'm coming to training camp. I'm coming to summer league, and I'm going to prove to you guys that I belong there. Like, my goal wasn't to be in the NBA to play and all of those things. But remember, we had 5 rookies at the time with the Wizards. You had John Wall, Trevor Booker, Kevin Serafin, Jordan Crawford that just got to the NBA. But the year before that, we had the whole incident with Gilbert Arenas. You had a bunch of young guys still in JaVale McGee, Andre Blatch, Nick Young, and all of those guys. And so it was a franchise that was remodeling basically a team. And then you got the 56th pick, who probably is not going to play, but is fighting to stay on the team because I just wanted to get better. I wanted to be around people to teach me things. I knew that I still had a lot to learn about basketball, and I knew that I had to be in the NBA around those guys to kind of learn faster than going overseas and probably getting stuck at a level, you know. And to me, all I saw, and I remember saying on the phone, I'm from overseas. I'm not going back, and I'm coming. I don't know I'm going to be there and all that. And it was probably, to me, the best decision I've made, because I used those years to just get better. It didn't matter that I wasn't playing. To me, I didn't. It wasn't about that. Like I said, I had a goal. Once you set a goal, it was okay. I'm gonna use my first couple of years to get better, to make sure and learn the system. I did a lot of that, of learning how the system works in the NBA, and learning how everything functions, and then bettering my skills so that when the time comes, I'll be able to use it. And that was really important to me. So those first couple of years with those guys, I just watched, observed everybody. I observed how everyone moves. I know their business moves. I knew everything that was happening around, and I was like, okay, I see how things kind of function. This is how I want to now put myself out there. And so that was a great, my first 2 years with the Wizards. I really enjoyed it. I was still young, so it was hard to live when you know that basketball is kind of your everything, and now you're sitting on the bench on the NBA team. I kind of took it multiple different ways. When you want to be on the court, you want to be playing. My main thing was I'm a basketball player. No matter how much you admit that you want to wait and be patient and wait for your timing. After a certain time, the scratch starts coming. You got to be on the court.
Yeah.
And we wasn't doing so well, so it was something that kind of was a bit hurtful, but at the same time, you can understand what was happening around. With all of those pieces moving, you can tell that it's not always going to be gravy. So you just gotta deal with the cards you are dealt. Going to Sacramento, I remember getting that recognition there, where getting to Sacramento with Isaiah Thomas, with DeMarcus Cousins, and Coach Mike Malone, who for the first time in my career, this is I think 4 years in my career, Mike Malone admits and tells me, you know what, you are an NBA player. You belong in the NBA. Don't let nobody else tell you that you are not an NBA player, because you work for like it. You got the mentality for it, and no matter what the politics behind goes or whatever, you are an NBA player. And that was the moment that I needed. Like after all of those years of patience and hard work and really humbling myself down, you get to a point where somebody admits and tells you, like, all right, you actually are what you think you
Real
are.
recognition.
Exactly. And that touched me more than my entire career, basically, to be honest with you. Having someone like that, or DeMarcus Cousins vouching for me, and all those things mattered so much, where I was like, all right, now I can see that it's all worth it. I can keep working, whether it's in NBA or not. I just felt like it was time for me to actually play after 4 years again, because I did 4 years of college, then 4 years of NBA of barely playing, of just prepping myself. I was like, all right, it's time for me now to go find myself and do what I love to do, which is actually playing.
Yeah, and you went on quite a journey. I know you played in Israel, Spain, Italy, and now you're in France for your fourth year. How did you live that experience of, almost like traveling, playing basketball, getting to see the world through the sport?
Well, that was the goal, but it was something that I always wanted to do, because my father traveled a lot when I was young. He seen the world and traveled around, and used to come home to Senegal and tell me a lot about what was happening back there, around the world. He had a bunch of stories about China and America and all those places. And once I made the decision, basically, hey, I'm going to go see the world for what it is. And basketball opened that door for me again, because it's not everyone that get to see the world for what it is. I decided to go wherever the wind took me, and wherever I knew I was going to not only play, but I could contribute to a team in the real, on the court, and be respected for it. So when I left the NBA, I went to China. I think I did my first 5 or 6 years overseas. I did them straight without stopping, where I did like almost 12 months of playing. I was just going back to back to back to back. I leave this contract, I'm going to this contract. I wasn't trying to take a break. I just wanted to see the world. I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to all that built up that hard work that I'd done before. To me, it was like I got to get it out now.
Yeah,
Whoever needs me, I'm going to play. Who wants me to go dunk the ball? Who wants me to go? I'm going. And I used it to also live those cultures. I enjoy going to new cultures and learning about them, learning about the world from my own eyes, not from a book, not from the TV, not from a documentary or anything like that, but going to see things for myself, and appreciating this entire world, and realizing that people are different. Cultures are different, and that's something that always intrigued me. Going to see new places, the history of those places, having the
absolutely.
locals tell you, all those little details make you more knowledgeable of what surrounds you. Compared to people that never left and never knew what's happening nowhere and don't even care. For me, I enjoy that knowledge. I enjoyed discovering the truth and having the feeling for myself that I can come back and tell the story to somebody else of what I lived while I was in China, what I lived while I was in the Philippines or Israel, Lebanon, and all those places. I've been to so many places that I forget sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I've been there too, and I got my own story about the places, just like my dad used to tell me of those things. So that's one of my favorite part about playing in the past, I think 6-7 years, was enjoying the world for what it is and seeing it for myself, and at the same time enjoying basketball for itself. Like,
Absolutely.
it's a different basketball in the NBA that it is in France, that is in Italy, that is in Senegal. Everywhere has like a little twist and thing that is still a global basketball, but at the same time, it's a different game when you get to certain leagues. So I enjoy seeing that and realizing, all right, maturing enough to be like, all right, this is how these people play, this is how these people play. And I can, the thing with my game is I can adjust it anywhere. I can go anywhere in the world and play because I'm not a guy that just needs to come in and put in 30 points and 40 points and show off and be out there. No, I do what it takes to win. And that is something that you can add anywhere. As long as you can adjust yourself, just like I adjusted myself to playing internationally, I can do it anywhere, really. So it's something I enjoy. It's a part of me, really, but I really enjoy that part.
Absolutely, and one thing that you mentioned right there is Senegal, and I know you played for the national team, and you did not only play, but you were able to win things with Senegal. You were able to win twice the bronze medal in the AfroBasket in 2013 and 2017. Hey, how did representing your country and being able to win meant to you?
Well, I started with the national team in 2013. That was my first time coming to the national team. And I've heard a lot of stories, how African teams and all those stuff. And it was a little worrisome at first because you just you hear all these things that are happening on national teams in Africa and in those poor countries. But to me, it was just an opportunity to again make history, do something that really hasn't been done, and put some respect on basketball again. Senegal is a great soccer country. We are really well known for our soccer, which
You're
FIFA is.
playing in the World Cup like in a couple of days.
Yes. So we are really known for that, but basketball wasn't really put. We were good a while ago, and then it kind of died down for a bit. For 2 decades or something like that, we didn't hear anything. So in 2013, coming to the African Cup for the first time, again, me and my goals, I had a goal that I wasn't living there without a medal. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was way tougher than I thought it was going to be. But again, I had just came from the NBA, and I was like, you come in with the big shoulders. I got this.
Feeling confident.
I'm really confident into everything, and then you realize, well, you're not the entire team, it was a great, a better experience than anything else, knowing that for me personally, my years in the NBA, like I said, I didn't really play as much, so I wasn't really put out there. My first 3 years in the NBA from 2010 to 2013, I could go back to Senegal at any point. People wouldn't recognize me or anything and say he's an NBA player. Okay, I could walk in any street, and I would just, because we are all tall in Senegal, so it doesn't really matter what I do. But it wasn't until 2013 that we win the bronze medal in Ivory Coast. And the fight that was there, the fight that I remember putting out. And I came back to Senegal for a day, I believe, a day or two, and remember walking down the street and you had kids, really kids out of everywhere, just coming out their house and running just to greet me and thank me for the effort. And they watched the games and they were so hyped and they were so happy to have seen it. They were doing things that I'd done in the game, like screaming and dunking and all that stuff. And I remember having that feeling in my heart, like it was like getting drafted all over again. It was like, wow, I can motivate these kids. I can show them that there is better things. There is a way to fight for what you want. You know, like we're fighting for our country. Wearing your country name on your jersey, there's nothing better. I'm gonna just put it out there. There's no better representation than representing your country and knowing that people are supporting you in your country, and you have to represent your family, yourself, and the next generation, really, who is going to see this and say, "This is what I want to do one day." You know,
Yeah.
And that moment in 2013 for me was not just that big, but then we qualified that year also to get to the World Cup, which at that moment you realize, wow, it's been over, I think, 20 years since we made it to the World Cup and all those things. So 2013 and 2014 was a mix of emotions of, I'm going to give everything for Senegal, and I don't want nothing from them. I just want people to like basketball again, enjoy this sport that I love so much. But not only that, motivate the next generation of kids who I saw in that small window in 2013, that they motivated me, honestly. Just looking at them, I was like, I'm going to give everything for my country to be one day where it belongs. We're in the top of the world where people will see it and say, I respect the basketball team in Senegal because these guys don't give up, because these guys fight. And we all know the conditions, but we don't care about it. We just going out there to fight for our country. And that was that's a feeling that you can't put in, you can't express. It's like I said, you can't. If I put that with getting drafted, you know that it's really big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we have two other sections that are much
Mhm.
shorter. This second section is one in which the previous player we interviewed, in this case, is Garrick Normand, that has committed to Michigan State to play next year. Left a question for you, and hopefully, if you can leave a question for our next guest, that would
Okay.
be awesome. The question that he left to you is, who is who is the player that you grew up watching the most, and what is one thing that you like about him?
Now, I'm going to have to be very honest here. I'm sure he's not expecting that answer. No one is expecting this answer. But I never watched basketball. I never watched basketball. Even when I started, I never really watched it. So to have a player, I think when I got to America is when I really started watching some players. And there are two players that marked me the most. One is Kevin Garnett, because of the way he played. Whenever I saw him on the court, and it was like, wow, this guy is crazy, and that's what I wanted to. I wanted to have that that heart of like, I don't care what happens, I'm fighting till the end, and I don't care who you are, I don't care who's in front of me, I'm going to destroy you. And that's what you saw in his eyes, that's what you saw in his demeanor and all those things, and I respected that. But there was another player that even touched me more than Kevin Garnett, and that was Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace to me, yes. Now Ben Wallace to me, even when I played against him later on, while I was in the NBA, I think didn't cease to amaze me. Okay, we all know that NBA players love to score. We all know that people like to have the ball in their hands and do a bunch of stuff. But to see someone put everything aside and focus on what they do best and really do that to the best of their abilities, being not only a small size center, but accomplishing the things that he accomplished with not strain from who he is. You never seen him shoot at the 3-point line or do a crazy crossover, whatever that was. He knew that he was the best defensive player there is, and he stuck to that. And that was something that shifted kind of how I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like where I said, I have to find what I do best. I can't be everybody. I'm not. Everybody wants to be KD. Everybody wants to be Curry. Everybody wants to be LeBron and all of those things. But that's also the problem with the generations, where people always want to be those players that always have the ball and scoring and all that. Who's doing the dirty work? Absolutely. Who's doing the stuff that actually helps you win? Who actually is going to sacrifice their body and everything and sacrifice their pride to make sure that you win in the game, even though they might not touch the ball, Like, who's going to be talking and screaming and making sure that everyone is in the right position when it's necessary and all that stuff on defense, and making sure that you are protected, making sure that my teammates will always feel like, I got your back. You don't got to worry. I'll always have your back, And that's what I saw while watching Ben Wallace. It wasn't his actions or whatever. Yeah, it was great to see him block shots and all those things. And it's amazing. But it's the character that speaks to me. It's how people conduct themselves while they are on the court that always touched me more. Like when I see that, I'm like, wow, I can learn from this, because I'm not everybody else. I can't do what everybody else is doing. I'm still catching up, but I sure can do this. This is what I do best. Block shots, I rebound, I dunk, and I give everything that I got, and I'm gonna fight to the end. So if you mix KG and Ben Wallace, then you can have a mixture of what my character is like when I'm on the court, for sure.
Great. And this last section, I'm going to do it fast because there's actually like 3 minutes left to the meeting.
I talk a lot.
No, I really like it. I enjoy having these conversations. I rather do this than when some players are like, doing short answers to just, respond. I rather do this. But there's actually 3 minutes left, so I'm going to do it fast. This last section is one in which this kind of rapid fire, it has nothing to do with basketball. So if you're ready,
all right, let's do
it. Favorite movie?
Coming to America.
Favorite TV show?
Whoa, that's a tough one. That's a very tough one, because I really changed TV shows a lot. I'll go with Naruto. You know what? Just basic Naruto. Okay.
Not including basketball, what sport do you watch or play the most?
None, technically. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really. When I come home, I check out from all sports, because I feel like when I'm watching it, I'm playing it again. So I'm too competitive to watch sports. So I watch soccer maybe when the World Cup gets here, but beside that, I'm kind of checked out of women basketball. I used to, but not so much.
Teammate you spend the most time with?
The most
time with?
Justin Bibbins, probably, yes. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Yassa.
Favorite video game?
Video game?
Yeah.
Video game. Favorite video game. Most of the selfish video games. I would say the last one I played was Horizon, I think. Anything that I can play by myself without having to be mad at people and all that. I play PUBG too. But mainly is that.
Great. Hot or cold?
Oh, hot.
One dream left to accomplish. That's not basketball related.
One what?
One dream left to accomplish.
I don't understand.
One dream that you have that it doesn't have nothing to do with basketball.
One dream that I. What could I? Have nothing left to do with basketball. Probably praying. Like, yeah, my prayer life. Yeah, that's what I do most.
Favorite artist or musician?
Eshawn Burgundy, I would say.
Perfect. And finally, favorite basketball shoes?
Oh wow, that's tough. KD's and Kyrie's, I would say. I don't really have a personal shoes. The Kobe fives, I think, was one of my personal favorite that I played with. But yeah, I think that one really touched me. Yeah.
Well, Hamadi, I'm so sorry that you had to tune in for like 3 minutes,
No
but
worries.
we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. As I said, you were our first African member, so you're representing a whole continent in our
Yes, sir.
channel. And good luck tomorrow against the Metropolitans.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. It's gonna be fun. Thanks for having me too.
No problem. Good luck tomorrow, and I'll check on you to tell you the status of the interview and everything.
All right, that's cool.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Later.